Welcome back to Home Studio, to the second video in our Intro to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript series. And we're continuing what we were working on in our Intro to HTML, our very basic My First Web Page. And this is the example that we were working on. And it basically had an H1, which is a large headline, an H2, which is more of a sub-headline, a little bit smaller. This is double the default size. This is 1.5 times the default size. And if you're not sure, if you right-click and choose Inspect and click on this little icon down here, you can hover over this stuff and see properties of the H2. It's saying it's black, it's saying it's 24 pixels, which actually is 1.5 times 16 pixels. Because when we looked at our CSS, our default CSS, we didn't do any CSS yet. This is default. It's basically 1.5 times. This is saying 32 pixels, which is basically 2 times default. So this is the default styles that are being created by your browser. This is default HTML. So we're going to wipe some of this out and work with some of this, so we're not just using default. But there's even spacing in there. You can see there's margin above and below, although it won't double up in between. So even though they both have margin above and below, you won't get double space between them. And here's the paragraph, and you can see they always have default space in there. Even the unordered list, if I go over here, you can see where it says 40 pixels. There's 40 pixel padding. That's what's moving it over, and that's actually padding. And then the list items do not have that. They're 16 pixels, which is default. So we're going to adjust some of that. Even if we look at body, I don't know if we could get to body here. Okay, there's body, and you can see there's a margin of 8 pixels. So that's that little space around your page. So we're going to adjust all that, but I just want to show you that there's defaults happening here that you can actually look at and override. So we're going to be overriding them. So I just want to show that first. Before I get into the CSS, one thing I just want to do for HTML, since we didn't cover everything for HTML, obviously, we didn't do forms, we didn't even do a link yet. One thing I want to do is just go over structure a little bit. We put an image in our page and we used Photopea, so we resized it down to 400 pixels. And what a lot of web developers will do is actually make a folder to put your images in. Here's our image right here, and it's just loose in our folder, our main directory. And if we make a folder here, we could just call it IMG. That's what a lot of people will use as the folder name just because it's simple and keep everything lowercase. Now I can move this image and any other images I have in here. That way I know where they all are. So now it's kind of a little more organized and it's not interfering with any files we might have. Now, if I go back to my page here and I refresh it, I can see my alt tag. Remember we had to put in alt text? That's the alternate text when the image isn't showing up. It's saying summer pick, and that little icon is indicating that it's missing. It can't find it. The browser can't find that image. And that's because we moved it. We put it in this folder, but we didn't tell our code that we were moving that. So what you'd have to do is just go here into your URL or your file name here and just make sure you put img /, because that tells it that it's going into that directory, and the / indicates that it's a directory, and then we're looking at that file. So remember to do that if you're ever working with folders in here. And we will, but I just want to point that out with images right now. So if I go here and I refresh that, our image will be fine. So just make sure you do that if you're creating any folders. And the last thing I want to do with HTML is to make a link. We don't have any links on here, and that's fairly easy to do. And I'm not sure what I want to link. I was just thinking, oh, I could link here to my Home Studio channel and just have a link right here since I mentioned record Home Studio videos. I could link to anything else, but I'll do that. And let me check my link for Home Studio. And there's my channel, and I'll just copy this URL. I'll copy that. And I'll go back to my code. And what I want to do is I want to hyperlink Home Studio videos, or I could just hyperlink Home Studio, or both, so that we can click on it and go right to Home Studio and have it open up in a new tab as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right here in front of Home Studio, and I'm going to use the A tag, which is an anchor element. So I'm going to put A tab. And if that ever doesn't work, put a space in there first, but that seemed to work. And we want to hyperlink this word, Home Studio or Home Studio videos. So that means we're going to have to take the closing A tag right here with the slash, and I'm going to cut it. I'll do Command X. If you're on Windows, you use Control X, and wrap it around whatever you want to hyperlink. Now, I'm just going to hyperlink Home Studio right now. So I'm just going to paste it. So now this href, And again, A is the element, the anchor element. href is the hyperlink reference. So that's where it's going to link to. That's where it's going to jump to when you click on it. That's a hyperlink. Now, right now, it's not going anywhere. So if we refreshed it right now, we should see the link. There it is. It's linked. And if I click on it, it doesn't go anywhere because we don't have it linked anywhere. But it's actually working. It's showing up as a link. We're seeing the little link finger, the little Mickey Mouse finger there. So that's working. And what we want to do is make it link somewhere. So I need to paste in. Now, I think I actually cut this, and if I paste it, it's going to paste an A. So I want to undo that. So I have to go back to my Home Studio. I'll go back here and I'll copy my URL and close it up. And this time I'll make sure I paste it right away. And I want to paste it right in these quotes. And there's the URL, and it's long, so it's going to break onto another line as well. And if I go here and I refresh it, what's going to happen when I click on here, it's going to put my page right here. Now, before I even do that, it'll replace this tab. So then I have to hit the back button to go back. So what I'm actually going to do is put something called a target, and that's an attribute. So again, remember, this is an attribute, ref is an attribute, and that's the only attribute we have in our link. And this is all taking place within the line item and within the Home Studio, because that's the only part that's hyperlinks. The opening A element right here, the opening tag, and put another attribute, because one attribute is hyperlink reference. So I'm going to put a second attribute, and I'll put a space just like we did down here. Remember, we had to put a space here. I'll put a space, and I'm going to put target equals, and I'm going to put quotes, and it'll put double quotes. And coming up here is blank. You can see blank right here, but that's what we're going to use. And what blank will do with the underscore, make sure you have the underscore, that'll make it open in a new tab or a new window. It used to open a new window, but people use tabs now. And that's all you really need. So if I go here and refresh this, now when I click on this link, it'll open up in a new tab, and that's what I want. And I don't need to look at this, but that's basically a hyperlink, and it's using the A element. And remember, you have to have the opening tag in front of whatever you want hyperlinked, and the closing tag after it. Now, if I wanted Home Studio videos, I could just move this and put it after this. And if I refresh it, now Home Studio videos is hyperlinked. Now, it doesn't matter, not that much, but I'll go and just put it back the way it was. I think I can just undo. And that's a hyperlink. So we'll do more with links, with buttons and all that. That's getting further into our HTML. We'll do a lot more with links and buttons and all kinds of things like that. But right now, that's fine. Now we can also link images too. You can link an image as well so that you can click on an image and go somewhere. But right now we're just linking text. So this is just hyperlink text. The Home Studio is hyperlink text right now. So we'll get started with CSS in our next video.